This notion of HOPS or Space A or whatever it's called, most people know very little about it. Most people who can fly space available do not want to because they've been burned. If you don't understand the system, if you don't sign up properly, if you don't understand and do it well, you can sit in a terminal for days. And when I have a friend, a dear friend of mine, Steve Reel, he was in the Marines. He sat in a terminal like for 10 days, and I will never fly Space A again. So I admit that there are a lot of people who don't want to do it, but the ones who do it, you become professional at it. You understand how you have to sign up and how you have to be ready to get bumped off. And I have been flying with the Air Force since 1967. First time as a second lieutenant going to see Kathy, and then Kathy and I got on a plane one time and flew over Mount Vesuvius, went to Greece. I mean, just crazy things. So every Air Force base has a recorded message. I know by heart how to call Charleston Air Force Base. And they will say, for the next 72 hours, here are the flights we have. Now, they'll say it's tentative, and then finally they'll say the seats are firm. I just flew 4 days ago from Charleston to McChord Air Base near Seattle. I went to Charleston Air Force Base, 52 seats on what they call a C-17, which is the workhorse of the Air Force. 26 seats on each side, and I was the only person on the plane. I mean, the crew was there. I was the only person there. And I was walking around, and had doing anything. I have an inflatable mat. The more you fly space available, the more you meet professional travelers. They don't have clothes. They have air mattresses and sleeping bags. That's what they have. So as soon as the flight gets to 40,000 or 35,000 and it's fairly stable, they're on the floor. They're sleeping for 3 hours. It's not as if on the commercial airline, if there's any turbulence, get back in your seat. The Air Force doesn't usually mess with you that way. So I have flown on C-17s many, many times. This trip I'm going in June, I will go to Travis Air Force Base, and they go to Korea, Japan, Okinawa, part of Japan. Do you get bumped? Yes. In fact, Kathy and I we go to Charleston or we go to Andrews Air Force Base. It's nice to fly out of Andrews because that's where the president flies out of. We saw Hillary Clinton coming off one time. We've seen George Bush coming off a plane. They kind of back you off when all these people come. But it's kind of, my friend in Nebraska said, Dave, the reason you do that, you love to beat the system. And that's true. Commercial flights are such a pain. Now and then I'll have Southwest as a backup coming out of Charleston, because if I do get bumped, then I can go over to Southwest. And Southwest lets you save your miles till you die, so you don't lose anything. My favorite flight really is out of SeaTac, Seattle, Tacoma, where my brother lives. The military rents 3 either 747s or 767s with full flight crew. We used to call them stewardesses. And so that flight, they're taking Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines out to Asia all over. And sometimes they'll have 6 seats extra for retired people. Sometimes they'll have 97 seats. Well, I learned, 72 hours before, and I get out there, and most of the time, I'd say 80% of the time, I get on one of those flights from SeaTac to Osan, Korea, through Japan. It's 11 hours going that way. It's about 8 hours coming back because of the jet stream. But you're sitting there on a plane in the empty seat on each side, and they're serving you meals, they have movies. But those cheapskates, it's $37 I have to pay. That's for immigration. I don't ever want to go back to McChord Air Force Base. It's very isolated, but most of the time, like Travis, it's very easy. But that space available, the other factor people don't know is there's a 60-day window. If I signed up today, and you do this by email, you can sign up at 10 bases. If I sign up today, you get progressively more senior as the days go by. So you want to be 58 or 59 days senior, because 60 days after your sign up, whoop, you're back to 0 again. So you know how to sign up. I signed up a month ago for my flight that I'm hoping for. I'm trying for an early June, 8th or 9th of June. In Hawaii, I just turned 82. My wife is 27. I won't tell her age, but she's a few years younger than I am. But when we go to Hawaii, we had better be very senior, because everybody in the Hawaii terminal at Hickam Air Force Base are at least 70 years old. I mean, you think this is a geriatric ward or something, and you're not going to get on a plane unless you're very senior, because they're all living in Hawaii. They want to go back to the States, or they're visiting. They know how to fly. So sometimes you have to be very careful. Other times, like Charleston, I wouldn't have to sign up for Charleston because there's seldom anybody going there. I have friends, like I said, who would never do it again. I think it's an adventure. I don't want to sit in the seat for 11 hours. If I can lie on the floor and walk around, I'd rather do that. But I'd recommend it. Most people are afraid of it. Kathy and I learned over the years, we go to an air base, we assume we're not getting out. It used to be 50-50. Now, since I know the system, I'm only turned down 20% of the time. One time they have a plane, the biggest plane in the Air Force is called a C-5. It's bigger than a 747. There's 75 seats up on the upper level, and they're backwards, so you're sitting opposite. And that plane is so old that it breaks down most of the time. And it often breaks down in Hawaii, because they like to break down in Hawaii so they can have a vacation. But I'm the kind of person who finds that adventurous. A lot of people don't, but I would recommend it for people who are considering it.